Well, welcome everyone to our next series, our channel webinar with phoenixNAP and Veeam software. Today we're going to be discussing some data protection services that we deliver through our platform that is, been engineered with Veeam. We've been around since 2014, I believe. We've been working with Veeam for Cloud Connect services, and we're going to talk about some of the upcoming features and new features of 9.5 and a little bit more, I think, on version 10 that's going to be coming out early next year. I'm Joel Wilhelm, the Director of Channel Sales for phoenixNAP. And on the call today, we also have Bryan Sarpad and Brandon McCoy. Brandon, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Yeah, thanks, Joel. This is Brandon McCoy. I am a system engineer here in Atlanta, Georgia, and I focus on our managed service providers. Happy to be here.
Thank you, Brandon. And Bryan?
And this is Bryan Sarpad, sales engineer at phoenixNAP, and I'm also glad to be here.
Great, thank you. So we're going to go ahead and kick this off with a quick background on phoenixNAP. For those of you who are familiar with us, this should be information you already have, but if you aren't familiar with phoenixNAP, this will bring you up to speed pretty quickly. We were founded in 2009. We're celebrating our 10th year anniversary being in business, and we've grown to over 500 employees worldwide. We're now located in 15 data centers across the globe. 6 of those, I would really say 5 of those are really meaningful for the conversation today, and I'll point those out on the next slide here. We offer a full stack of services, everything from colocation through infrastructure as a service, cloud services, backup and DR, as well as object storage. And we've won quite a few awards. You can see some of those are listed there at the bottom of the screen. We are a VMware vCloud verified partner. We've been with Veeam since 2014, which was the launch of the cloud services program, cloud provider program for Veeam, allowing customers to leverage, extend really their Veeam software backups and replication into the cloud. We've won a couple of awards with them as well. And we're a Microsoft partner, and we've been awarded with CRN in the top 100, actually in 2018 and 2019, one of the coolest cloud vendors. So we're pretty proud of receiving those accolades from the community. The locations that are really meaningful for the conversation today are going to be Phoenix, Arizona, which is our flagship data center right here in Arizona, 160,000 square foot tier 3 multi-tenant co-location facility, where we also provide our cloud stacks and infrastructure as a service. Ashburn, Virginia, which is our second largest deployment in Northern Virginia, a very hot market. That gives us geo redundancy. We have a lot of customers that grew from Phoenix into the East region. Atlanta, Georgia was a third expansion site for us. And in the last couple of years, we've added Singapore and Amsterdam, Netherlands. So all 5 of those locations are available as cloud targets for cloud backup, replication, and Office 365 backup. The other sites that you see on the map here have been organic growth with other customers. We go in and build our networks. We deploy multi-cabinet cages and infrastructure as a service. So we'll be bringing some of those up in the future for additional services such as bare metal hosting, infrastructure as a service, and potentially cloud services in the future. At a high level, phoenixNAP does a lot of things. We like to think of ourselves as a colocation plus platform. So we really started in that network, power, pipe, and space arena back in 2009. And then we quickly grew into offering dedicated servers and infrastructure as a service, and then building a public cloud and private cloud solutions on VMware platforms shortly thereafter, wrapping those with security services, managed backup, and of course, backup and disaster recovery. So just think of us as an infrastructure as a service provider. We stay focused on inside of our 4 walls. We really work with our partners in the Veeam ecosystem to deliver services that enhance what you're already doing out there in the field. We talked about this a little bit. So cloud backup, what does that mean? Veeam Cloud Connect services, if you're not familiar with them, it's an integrated feature for the Veeam Availability Suite. So Cloud Connect is the mechanism that securely transmits the data to our cloud nodes and encrypts the data. both available at rest and in transit, and allows it to interoperate with the Veeam software on-prem from the target side. So that same mechanism is also a transport method for connecting the replicas into our cloud. So you can run both backup copy jobs or replication jobs targeting our cloud. We also offer the managed backup for Office 365. This is a backup as a service. Basically, we need the credentials to get into the O365 environment, and we're able to go ahead and take the data from email, SharePoint, OneDrive, and protect that for a much longer period of time. And we'll talk a little bit more about that. And then Data Security Cloud, which is typically the target for the replication jobs. And we can make that a hosting solution for a customer so they can build a hybrid secure cloud for disaster recovery and hosting. I think we've covered that. And I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Brandon here. Brandon?
Thanks, Joel. I appreciate that. And so we'll start here. Let me make sure I can maneuver through these slides. Yeah, I don't know if maybe you can give me that control or just move the slides for me, but I'll go ahead and start here. So this is the Gartner's 2019 Magic Quadrant. I imagine most of you on the phone are familiar with that, and for those who aren't, it's just the one of the leading industry surveys where customer service is a huge part of determining who are the best in terms of software. And there's these 4 quadrants. You have visionaries, challengers, leaders, and I believe followers. And Veeam has moved up into the leader quadrant up at the top right. It's something that I really recommend you guys, go out there and take a look at. You can view that report for free, and you can see some of the numbers here. One number that's not shown here is actually what the score is. It's called a Net Promoter Score, and the Net Promoter Score for Veeam this year was 75, and I believe that is 3.5 times the industry average. So customers seem very happy to be using Veeam, and it's a great product to be working with. So let's talk a little bit about what's new. Right now we are on 9.5 update 4. We just released this not too long ago, and we keep moving. Veeam version 10 will be coming out most likely in early January, and that's going to have a lot of cool new features. Some are some improvements to the things we see here. So infinite scalability is one of those. So we do have the ability to archive your backups into a long-term storage archive using AWS, Azure, any kind of object storage to reduce the expense of your traditional disk-based repositories. We also moved into cloud mobility. So now from within backup and replication, you can restore your on-prem backups into Azure as well as AWS, spinning up machines in the public cloud. So whether you need to send your backups into the cloud to be stored, or whether you want your production machines to be spun up in the cloud, we now have both of those options available for you to support those hybrid cloud environments. And then finally, with backup and replication, Cloud Connect replication, you're able to have your whole data center in another location, and in any kind of ransomware or power outage, natural disaster, you'd be able to easily turn on your data center at the phoenixNAP locations. Whoops, a little too far there. So a lot of times when we talk about data protection, we think of the virtual environments. Most data centers are still using or are using the VMware, the Hyper-V environments of the world, but we still do have those physical machines that we need to protect, and we have both Linux as well as Windows machines. So we have the Veeam agent for Linux here. We've made some great improvements on this over the past few years. We're on version 3 right now of both the Linux and the Windows, and version 4 will be out next year. We now have the ability to do multiple backup jobs with the agents directly, and the agent for Linux can go directly to Cloud Connect, which is an improved feature over the previous versions. And then for the agent for Windows, again, multiple backup policies assigned to one machine, as well as being able to back up USB hard drives, which is something that is also pretty new and pretty cool. So when we take a look at data protection and security trends, we see a lot of a lot of concern around breaches. I do a lot of ransomware webinars as well, and you'd be pretty shocked at some of the stats. I believe last year, one of the biggest ransomware hits was about $18 million for the city of Baltimore. And we see that to continue to grow. And so with Veeam as well as with phoenixNAP, you're able to mitigate a lot of those concerns around ransomware and data breach. And, when we come to ransomware, we need to be prepared for this as well. So being better to be safe than sorry, right? So being proactive rather than reactive is, of course, the #1 way to, fight against ransomware. If ransomware does hit, there's always things you can do, but it's, of course, always best to be secure in the first place so none of that happens. And we're definitely going to dive into that a little bit. So like I mentioned, these are some of the different amounts of money that it can cost an enterprise or even a small, medium business for ransomware. And, there's all kinds of ransomware strains that are targeted at that specific business, right? They know somewhere around the amount of money that you'd be willing to pay. So they may ask a small mom and pop shop for, a couple $1,000s at a good run rate, or they may hit, large businesses like the one I mentioned earlier for hundreds of thousands, even to millions of dollars to get that data back. So a recent poll also shows some of the impacts that organizations face from downtimes of their applications, and that could be anything from ransomware to, again, power outages or just machines going down, right? So having those additional copies, being able to spin up fast, even in another data center like phoenixNAP, and a lot of these things that we see here. So lack of customer confidence, your brand. I think that's one of the biggest ones. A lot of companies never recover from ransomware attacks or outages, especially when other customers are relying on that data to do their business. So there's many, many things that you really have to think of besides just paying that ransom. All right, and with that, we're going to pause for a moment, and we're going to take a poll, and then I will continue.
Okay. So here is our first question.
Can everyone see the question?
I believe so, Joel. I can see it from my side.
Okay, it didn't show up on my side, so I just wanted to be sure. Thank you.
Sure. Yeah, and it looks about like 57% of the audience has voted. Give it just another second here. All right, I don't see the needle moving there, so.
Okay, I can pull out the next question. Okay, so
Yep.
This is the result.
So it looks like we have 100% of the attendees who voted that do sell Veeam to your clients today. That's great news. We hope the other 43% sells it as well. So we can move on to the next one.
Yes, so the next one is here.
Okay, we got 43% voted on this one, so maybe we'll give it just another 10 or 15 seconds. There we go. We're at 57%. I believe that's what we were at last time.
Okay. So these are the results.
Awesome. So looks like yes, we refer resell phoenixNAP's cloud 25%. 25% use their own cloud solution, and 50% do not use any kind of cloud at all.
So really this question is about how much data are you protecting for your clients? Are you responsible for today? Or potentially how much on average do your clients need to protect?
Okay, I think that we can move on the results.
Mm-hmm.
So.
All right, so another mixed bag here. Looks like 25% have less than 10 terabytes. 25% have over 100 terabytes. Wow. And then half are in between that 10 to 50 terabytes range. Interesting.
This is a really good question to ask, of course. Do your customers have a business continuity plan? And that I think is a little bit more encompassing than just simply backing up their data, right? What is their plan if an outage occurs, other than just recovering their backups, or if a ransomware attack happens? Have they documented that plan? Things like that.
Yep, absolutely. We get those kinds of questions a lot in terms of disaster recovery, and some of those words get tossed around as buzzwords. So, we really want to make sure that we meet those customers' expectations and they know what to expect in some sort of, disaster.
And
all right, and it looks like 67% say no. That's pretty scary. We better get you on one.
Seems like a good opportunity to have a little conversation.
Absolutely. All right, this next one's pretty straightforward here.
So this will mostly likely vary by the size of your business and how many clients you serve, but we're just really curious of, those in the audience today, how many customers that you have using Veeam today. We need some Jeopardy music here.
yeah. Okay, so that's it, and here are the results.
All right, looks like we're kind of split down the middle on 3. 33% said 1 to 10 of their clients. 26 to 50 is another third of that, and then the last third is 50 plus. Got a good mix in there.
Okay, and the last one is here.
So we'd really like to understand what our partners need from us in order to be successful out there selling. And, we're all at various stages in the game. So if you feel that's more of a tighter approach from a sales or sales engineering perspective, or whether you feel that's more go to market, such as marketing in a box or collateral, So this is really going to help us understand how we can help you the most going forward.
And also, I just would like to remind everyone that as a bonus for attending this webinar, you are able to download the Ransomware Defense and Survival ebook from Veeam right now. And here are the results.
All right, looks like we got straight down the middle here, 50% on every answer. Marketing in a box collateral, backup disaster recovery, solutions, as well as pricing, some sales training, and some engineering training as well.
Yes.
Great.
Well, thank you so
all
much.
of the above. Okay. So we should have made it all of the above, Ariel, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, thank you for taking the poll. Appreciate that. Okay, Brandon,
Thanks,
back
everyone.
to you.
Sure. On with the show. So we're still talking about ransomware here and kind of how Veeam and phoenixNAP can help you with that. Let's see if I can.
Okay. How does that look?
Yep. Perfect.
Okay.
Yep. All right. Thanks everyone for bearing with us. So yeah, back on to the ransomware. So when ransomware hits, how do you know that you have a good copy? You know, hopefully you're following some of the best practices here in terms of with Veeam and with phoenixNAP. But before you hit that button and go to do the restore while you're in panic mode, you may want to make sure that those backups are going to be good. And we can do that a variety of ways. So when we see the slide here on the left-hand side, we've got our production environment locked up. Maybe we even have the repository locked up as well, and we've been asked for a Bitcoin in order to get our data back. So we have a variety of options. First of all, we can always take that backup if we can still access it, and we can run something called a sure backup. And this sure backup will allow the machines to be spun up in an isolated quarantined network in your data center, where you're able to run some various tests on these machines, as well as do a ransomware scan and determine what's going to happen if a ransomware is found. You can either boot up those machines and quarantine them from the rest of your network, or you can just abort that operation. That way you'll be able to pull out what you need from those machines before you restore them to the production environment. So that's our sure backup feature, as well as sandboxing. And we can do that with not only the backups, but also with your storage snapshots. So if you're out there using VMware and you have one of the many SANs that we integrate with, NetApp, Nimble, 3PAR, there's a long list of them you can find on our website. We're able to actually talk directly to the SAN and do a backup from storage snapshot. And with those storage snapshots, we can do that same kind of sandbox testing, and we can also restore from those same snapshots. So you have a variety of options. And you can also decide whether you want to restore the whole VM or just a specific section, right? Maybe you just need to roll back a SQL database or move that SQL database to another machine that's not infected. Maybe your local backup is infected, so you're going to go to the backup copy that you have in phoenixNAP's data center and do the same type of restores from that offsite backup, which is, you know, one of the whole main reasons why we have an extra copy of our backup offsite. So recovering from storage snapshots, you know, just like I mentioned, you can always do the sandboxing with these storage snapshots. We can also restore from them, and we have all the same capabilities. At the bottom, you see our Veeam Explorers, and these are the ways to do, you know, our granular restores of putting emails back into mailboxes, Active Directory users and computers back into directory services and containers. Being able to explore all of these various applications and restore even from those storage snapshots. And with those storage snapshots, you're probably taking them, you know, around hourly, and being able to leverage those in case your backups are also infected. Not only that, you know, in terms of restoring, we also have reports to know that you're restoring. So we talked about proactive versus reactive. And so we have these reports in our product called Veeam One. Veeam One is a very powerful monitoring and reporting software, and it comes bundled with Veeam Backup and Replication. That's called our Veeam Availability Suite. That way you have protection as well as visibility. And this actually has reports that monitor for possible ransomware. And it also has SLA reports to make sure that you have multiple copies of your backups, that you have a recovery point objective, and in other words, how far back you can go and how quickly you can restore. So all of these kind of restore options and reports can help you stay protected and make sure you know you're protected. And with that, I'm going to pass it over to Bryan at phoenixNAP. Thanks everyone for your time.
Hi guys, just wanted to cover a couple of the features that we've built into our client portal. So we have a client portal called PNCP, phoenixNAP Client Portal, and we've added quite a bit of functionality for Veeam in our portal. So what you're looking at right now is an example client where they're able, well, if you're a managed service provider or a reseller, you're able to set up client repositories in any of our backup locations. There are all the backup locations listed. You're also able to go in and increase their quota through the portal. You don't have to reach out to a salesperson or anything. There's some self-service capabilities there. Joel, go ahead and go to the next slide, please. All right, there we go. And that's what it looks like when you're adding a new repository. So you're able to set permanent storage, that would be contracted, or a burst storage. This is where somebody could go in and increase their storage temporarily for a month without having a contract for the length of the term. You're able to set some price points in here and generate a billing report to make it easy to manage reselling Veeam Cloud Connect services. We've also recently rolled out support for the Veeam Availability Console, where you're able to do agent deployments as well as use a single pane of glass to manage your existing Veeam backup and recovery installations. We're happy to schedule a more in-depth demo if you'd like to do a deeper dive on some of this functionality and how we can help you out. And with that, I'm going to give it back to Joel.
All right, thank you, Bryan. And again, that was a real quick high level there. So, you know, Bryan and Kirk and our team over here are more than happy to do an in-depth demonstration of the PNCP portal. Obviously, we can do a much more in-depth architecture conversation, sales engineering conversation on how to scope and scale, and what that functionality means, especially around VAC. That's been requested by numerous MSPs, giving them a much better way to manage their deployments and have a single pane of glass for helping them, get notifications, for example, things along those lines, instead of each customer being its own silo. It really does help correlate all of that data. So we do offer free trials. So Veeam Cloud Backup is very easy for us to configure and turn up if you want to test it out for a customer, for yourself. So free 30-day trials. Quick provisioning, 24 hours is probably a very long period of time for us to provision. Once we get an order or request for a trial, those are typically provisioned within hours, and your credentials are sent to the secured email address that's been provided for the technical contact for the role. We are available 24/7, 365. We have a NOC team here that will take your customer support calls. And again, some of the functionality that's available in PNCP to give you self-management of these environments. If you're having any kind of trouble there or something like that, our NOC is always going to be around to assist you as well. So just want to make sure that you understand we're not a lights out data center. We operate 24/7, 365. And with that, we know that you have target customers out there based on the responses from the poll. Many of you are selling Veeam today. You have a Veeam client base ranging in size from 10 customers up to hundreds of customers potentially. And everyone who is using Veeam, everyone who is using Office 365 is a potential customer for phoenixNAP and for these additional sales that can be made when they're leveraging that software. So if they're looking for something that fully integrates, something that they're familiar with already, if they need to be able to easily scale this, and they of course want something that's scoped just for what they need today and that can grow down the road. Price points are very low on these products. The cloud backup is a price per terabyte per month based on term and volume. So you're going to be able to get significant discounts for larger customers and be very competitive. And scoping disaster recovery, and Veeam Replication has gotten much easier. I want to make sure everyone on the call understands that we are now selling Veeam Replication essentially for $15 per virtual machine protected and $90 per terabyte of storage, and that's your monthly charge. So it has become very cost effective to offer a true disaster recovery Veeam replica for their mission critical workloads, and be able to use the power of the software that they already have installed protecting their workloads to build a comprehensive disaster recovery plan for those mission critical workloads. Resellers, our channel partners, we have two different ways really of doing business with phoenixNAP. One of those is a resell, and the resell is it's our services on your paper. You control your margin. The other way to do that is through referral. If you don't want to hold the paper, you can refer the customer to us, and we pay a percentage of the MRR back to our customers, or I should say our partners, on a monthly basis. So it's very simple to engage us. We have a full solution architect team here that will help you sell these solutions. You don't have to do it on your own. If you do have sales engineers or pre-sales engineering teams that need training, we're happy to help assist them so they can scope these types of opportunities all on their own. We offer co-branding of materials. Like we said in the poll, we're willing to train and enable your sales and your technical teams. I want to introduce you to the phoenixNAP channel team. We are based in each region. We have the Pacific Northwest, the West, the Tola region, the Midwest, and the East region. So this is the current channel team here today. We are adding some way to be dedicated to the West region. If you have any questions, you would like to register an opportunity, set up a demo, please feel free to reach out to your channel manager if you're located in one of those states, or you can use our partner distro email, which is partner@phoenixnap.com. With that said, thank you, Brian. Thank you, Brandon, for your time today. And thank you, everyone, for attending. We hope you learned something today that's going to be useful in your sales efforts. And we're here to help you grow. Just let us know how we can do that. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.